Hey guys, we're in Module 2 now, and what that means is we're in the second section of your textbook, Part 2, the formal elements and their design. And if you have your textbook out, you'll see that this part of the textbook is kind of the middle part, but we're covering chapters 4 through 8. And some of this is review for some of you guys. If you had art in middle school or high school, you probably learned the elements of art or principles of design, or at least you've heard of them. So they're divided up kind of unusually to me, a little odd the way the textbook author decided to divide this section. But chapter 4 deals with line, but you know what a line is. But this section deals with how artists use different kinds of line in a way to direct our attention in a work of art, make us look a certain way. And then chapter 5, space. Not talking about outer space here. We're talking about either two-dimensional or three-dimensional space. Three-dimensional would have to do with something like a sculpture, something you could walk around and see from more than one side. But then most works of art that most of us would think of is two-dimensional, something flat that has height and width and maybe in a frame hanging on a wall. So the illusion of space, though, or the illusion of depth, is also covered in chapter 5. You'll see some techniques, or hopefully you'll identify some techniques that artists use, such as overlapping, foreshortening, using certain colors, using linear perspective. So once again, these may be some new terms, new ways of recognizing things that you haven't ever seen before, but also some of you may have become familiar with these terms before. So this section shouldn't be that hard for you guys. Chapter 6 deals with light and color. At the beginning of the chapter, it's discussed how our eyes perceive color, and it is affected by light. And then we'll also go into certain colors, color combinations, such as warm colors, cool colors. The color wheel is discussed in chapter 6 and explained a little bit, those of you who aren't familiar with the color wheel, how primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, if you have those colors of paint, you can use them to mix other colors. And so that's also discussed in chapter 6. And then chapter 7 and 8, the textbook author kind of clumps a few things together there. In chapter 7, you'll see texture, pattern, and what's called time and motion discussed. And in chapter 8, the principles of design, balance, emphasis and focal point, scale and proportion, repetition, rhythm, unity, and variety. Those are all discussed kind of briefly in chapter 8. So like I said, this shouldn't be a hard module for most of you. You're not going to be learning a bunch of dates or artist names or anything like that, but some of it may be a review even. But it is interesting to realize that most of the time artists put a lot of thought and planning into a work of art. A lot of the times that involves the use of the elements of art and principles of design. And sometimes the way those elements of art and principles of design are used affect us when we see a work of art. Sometimes we're not even aware of it. And so this section, this module 2, covers all that. So in this module, you'll see once again quizzes. You'll see some PowerPoints. You'll see some discussion boards, and then you'll have an exam over this section. So hopefully you guys are very familiar with the class by now. Everybody's doing well, hopefully. And if you're not, if you've fallen behind on anything, remember you can submit discussion boards late, you can submit exams late, but you can't submit quizzes late. So just keep that in mind, and as always, let me know if you have any questions.